Senate will please come to order. We will begin this afternoon, second session of the day, with a brief moment of silence. Are there any announcements? You have a resolution to take up at this time. ARS 25, Senate resolution urging the Vermont Congressional Delegation to introduce and pursue the enactment of legislation authorizing the permanent U.S. residency eligibility for more than 800 international victims of the Vermont EB-5 scandal. Please listen to the first reading of the resolution.
SR 25, Senate resolution urging the Vermont Congressional Delegation to introduce and pursue the enactment of legislation authorizing the permanent U.S. residency eligibility for the more than 800 international victims of the Vermont EB-5 scandal.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. The resolution is now referred to the Committee on Government Operations. This brings us to the orders of the day. We have on the calendar for action H606. Unless there's been a request to pass over. The Senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe there's still a request pending to pass over H606 at this time. I would like to take up for immediate consideration S11, but we'll need a rule suspension for that. So I request that the rules be suspended and we take up S11 for immediate action.
Move to that in just one moment. I want to confirm this morning there was a request to pass over S100. I presume that still stands. Yes. Okay. The Senator from Windham has moved that the rules be suspended and S11, an act relating to prohibiting robocalls, be taken up for immediate consideration. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you suspended the rules and will now take up S11. We now have on the calendar S11, an act relating to prohibiting robocalls. The House has proposed to the Senate to amend the bill as set forth on page 4635 of the calendar. The underlying question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment on S11? The Senator from Bennington, Senator Sears, is recognized for the report on S11.
Madam President, it would be difficult for me to report on this bill because it's not the bill that was introduced on robocalls that has been changed dramatically. I don't even know if it's germane to the bill on robocalls, but I am unable to report on the bill since the changes made are dramatic and have nothing to do with robocalls.
Thank you. The Senator from Chittenden is recognized. Senator Sirotkin for the report on S11, and I believe.
Wait a moment while the bill is being handed out. While it's being handed out, let me just clear what we're talking about here is the Senate's reaction to the changes that the House has made to S11. And if it's not obvious, S11 was a bill dealing with robocalls. This is a major bill dealing with workforce economic development. The House used S11 and the robocall bill as a vehicle to add on significant sections, obviously. I think it's 15 pages in all, and it's close to 90 million or more in spending in this bill. I will say, and you may hear a little bit from the Senator from Franklin, that the robocall provision, which they have stripped out of the bill, will be suggested for conference committee by your Senate Economic Development Committee. So this before you is a proposal to concur with the House with further proposal of amendment. And some may ask why we just don't go to conference. And the understanding between both chambers for the entire session is that this bill would likely wind up in conference, and that the House originally focused primarily, the crossover rule, primarily on workforce issues. The Senate Economic Development Committee focused primarily on economic development issues, and the two would meet and we would likely go to conference. The reason why I can't stand before you and say, can we just go to conference at this point, is that they have changed what we sent to them, and I reported on probably 6 weeks ago, a bill called H-159, which was our economic development bill. They stripped a lot of things out of the bill, and because it's no longer on the 159 vehicle, and it's on the S11 vehicle, if we don't put those back in here today, we would be outside the realm of what could be discussed in a committee of conference. So we have to go through the added step of adding back our H-159, and you'll be glad to hear that I'm not going to go through that again because we went through all of that. You may recall it was the bill where several of the committee members got up and talked about various sections, and it passed unanimously by the Senate. So we have just, the latter part of this bill, just added back our sections of 159. So those would be legitimate areas for the conference committee report, which we expect the House, once they get this proposal of amendment, they will ask for a conference committee, and then we'll start coming together on the two pieces. So that talks a little bit about the economic development piece. There is an added piece that you may recall dealing with the SALT tax provision, which is state and local taxes, that Senator Brock and I offered as an amendment to 159. I gave the report on that, and then it was asked to be delayed for a day, and we went into finance and we agreed to pull that amendment. But a streamlined version of that, which I'll talk about after the senator from Windsor does her report, is in this bill, and Robocalls is also in this bill, and all of 159 is in this bill. The heart of the report today, will be reported to you by the senator from Windsor, is the workforce issues. We got a bill from the House. It was H703. We've been working on it for weeks now to try and give our response to their workforce proposals. Now that they put all of those things in 703 that they wanted back on S11, so we need to now review in this bill what we thought of their work on H703, which is now in your calendar as their proposal of amendment to us on workforce. And we are going to, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Clarkson to talk about what they had put in for workforce and what we have changed, and it should go smoothly from that point forward. So with that, I'd like to yield to the senator from Windsor.
The senator from Windsor is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a big bill, and the other body has the advantage of having had a lot more time with it, but it is one of our priorities this session, and we bring before you what was H703 and is now embedded at the beginning, I believe, of S11. The purpose of this bill is to expand the opportunities for workforce education, training, and development for Vermonters, and to make meaningful investment to support and expand the workforce across the state. It's the intent of the General Assembly in this, and that each recipient of funding in this act shall conduct significant outreach to ensure that all Vermonters, and particularly populations that have experienced unequal access to public or private economic benefits due to geography, socioeconomic status, disability status, gender or gender identity, age, immigration or refugee status, or race, have the opportunity to benefit from the financial and programmatic benefits made throughout this bill. And it is overwhelming. I would just like to remind you that the workforce challenge is one of the biggest challenges we face right now. And just to give you a few facts about the scale of the problem, we are basically in an acute labor shortage. Anyone in this room who runs a business is keenly aware of the labor shortage we face right now. According to the Employment and Labor Market Information Division of the Vermont Department of Labor, there are approximately 28,000 job openings right now in Vermont. And 9,945 individuals meet the federal statistical definition of unemployed as of January. 4,500 individuals are receiving unemployment insurance and assistance. So our unemployment insurance rate is quite low. On the other hand, the workforce itself has shrunk by about 26,000 people between 2019 and 2022. And yet, as you know, our unemployment rate is still very low. The workforce population rate has fallen from 66% to 60.6%. And it is those kinds of challenges we are trying to address in this bill. Our time was short. We worked in close collaboration with our committees of jurisdiction, and we are very grateful to corrections, to the judiciary, to education, and to our Senate Health and Welfare committees for working with us on sections 6 through 9, sections 3, 4A, 16, and sections 18A through 36. We have to continue our work on these issues in our committee of conference, and as you know, this is just the beginning of that work. And so with that, I think I'm just simply going to walk through the bill as you have it in front of you and do my best to try and quickly give you a notion of what some of these programs address. We spend about $27 million in this workforce section. The total bill represents about 84.5 million in spending, including the economic development pieces. So I would just say also that we really tried to address, in addition to encouraging, we're addressing everything in this bill, from apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, internships, return to the workforce, trying to encourage our young people who have come to college and to our universities here to stay in Vermont. We have opportunities for loan repayment if they agree to stay for 2 years or more. We have so many rich opportunities in this that I'm not going to be able to go into detail about as I do this, but it is a bill full of opportunity for everybody, from meat cutters to healthcare professionals, to teachers, to Head Start teachers, to some of our most impacted workforce areas, which, as we know, are addressed, our critical care professions, which are addressed in this bill and in others. So let me just start by going through section 2. You will see we have immediate strategies here for funding and expanding the workforce in a couple of key places. We have money that's appropriated to UVM in consultation with the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation to administer a statewide forgivable loan program of $5,000 per graduate who commit to work in Vermont for 2 years or more. UVM is going to do the marketing, and VSAC is going to do the forgivable loan work. We have money in here. We have $500,000 for the state refugee program to administer grants to our refugees to get them training and work and increase their in-migration retention. Because if we can get them engaged in work here, we will hopefully keep them as new Vermonters. It also appropriates money to VTC, Vermont Technical College, to develop a skilled meat cutter training program. So that is all there in section 2. Section 3 is the section 2 and 3, sections 3 and, I think there are 2 sections now in this. Sorry, the changing of it is a little challenging, and I don't have a section by section for it. So the next couple sections are addressed, and the funding is in 3A, but this addresses the pilot that we enabled several years ago. I think it was 2018, where we charged the Agency of Education to do a pilot of our CTE centers and to really try and address and solve the problem, the thorny problem we all know exists between CTE funding and governance and our main high school education funding. And they are almost done with that, and they need $180,000 to continue that work to try and identify and create and suggest recommendations for how to improve the funding and the governance structures to help prioritize, to create new models for CTE funding and governance as we go forward, because it is not, it's not working as well as we would hope it would. Section 4 is the investment in upskilling of our businesses that are coaching. This is money that is going to coach for business coaching and other training for our BIPOC community, our BIPOC business owners, for networking and career fairs. Section 4A is upskilling. This is money that will is one-time money that's coming, we hope, out of the money identified in the education surplus. This is upskilling for our education workforce. This is to expand and mentor professional and do professional development for people who aren't faculty at high schools, but at all our schools, but for those who are seeking to grow in their work and to and who are seeking to become licensed as teachers. And so that is what this grant program is. And the section 5 comes to the creation of one of our biggest proposals in this bill, which is to create the coordination so desperately needed in our workforce development system. We have a huge workforce development system that runs through every agency in this state, almost every department, our colleges, our universities, our nonprofits. We desperately need it coordinated in a more successful fashion. And this is our attempt to begin that work, coordinating it. We sort of talk about it as this octopus with no head. We need a head to make the tentacles work in sync. We need an orchestra with a conductor. We right now have sections of an orchestra, all of whom are playing at different tempos, sometimes with different sheets of music. And we really are desperate. We feel in our committee, having looked at this huge workforce group of silos, to get them all working in sync and to have it at a level that can be coordinated and have people's toes held to the fire so that we actually accomplish the things that we're trying to accomplish in workforce development in this state. And so you will see in section 5 the creation of this, and the purpose of it is really interagency coordination out of state government coordination. But interagency coordination is really critically important here. And so that is what this section is about. And we have put aside money to have a director of the Office of Workforce Innovation, in addition to the head of the State Workforce Development Board would be embedded as one of the staff members, and it would have another staff member. And we have an interim report due in January to identify what they are feel that they want us, what they need to set as their goals. I think that anyway, we have, all right. Let me see if I can find it. They're going to have an interim report next year on what the proposed goals and metrics are to measure the action steps to accomplish, how the office can effectively coordinate the workforce system and improve workforce development conditions in the state relative to the data points specified in this section. So we are full of hope that we can actually begin to get our hands on and be held more fully accountable for our workforce development goals, which are lofty and are a little bit of a patchwork. Actually, they're major patchwork. The next section, 5A, gives money to the Department of Labor to do more of what we feel they are already doing but should be doing. And many years ago, the Department of Labor had wanted very much to have a one-stop portal in every region of the state. During the recession that sort of got contracted, this gives them money to really set 2 pilots of reestablishing those kinds of one-stop portals. We know they have competition now with Indeed, with other platforms for work, but this is really, we still feel that this work has been very helpful in the past and has coordinated regionally jobs, employers, employees, training, and it helps people wanting to work learn what credentials they need to go forward. So that we're willing to finance 2 pilots here and much more modest staff than what they had originally hoped for. We're ever in hope that these one-stop portals may be a terrific asset to our regions. The next sections appropriates, the sections 6 through 9 are to the corrections department, and these are really designed to address increasing vocational opportunities within prison, with mobile units that would go around and help develop skills and build credentials. It also helps us with funding in the Chittenden facility to provide continuity of services for people at the Chittenden facility and to help them with community-based reentry programs. That is I'm sorry, but they've got too many additional pieces here. Let's see. That will, this will, we'll have a report back on these sections. The correctional, one of the major areas of really deep challenge in our workforce is our correctional officers, our COs, and we have lost huge numbers of them. This Section 8 is designed to really focus on them on recruitment and retention, and spends money doing exactly that. We're going to be analyzing what other states are doing and trying to analyze and improve wages, which are already being improved, as we know, in this market. But this identifies specific and administrative and legislative actions we can take to successfully improve the recruitment and retention of our correctional officers. And that goes through Section 9 and includes and that goes through Section 9. Section 11, Section 11 is the rewrite of the Department of Labor's work-based learning and training program. This is a terrific program. It's been totally re-envisioned, but it is still money that goes directly to Vermonters. It's supporting them in their apprenticeships, their pre-apprenticeships, internships, and those returning to work. And this appropriates $1.5 million to the Department of Labor to implement this program, which is ongoing. They have just rewritten it and strengthened it. They can't use, we've identified that they can't use more than $100,000 for administration in this program. But this is core of what a lot of our Department of Labor does, and we are wanting to support them as fully as we can. The next program is the Vermont Trade Scholarship Program, which is in section 14. That is, this is $3.5 million, which is appropriating money to the Vermont, to VSAC, Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, for scholarships for trades that students under the Vermont Trade Scholarship Program will be able to, who demonstrate need, obviously. It creates a scholarship program to be administered by VSAC, which will distribute, which will disperse tuition payments, exam fees, any monies needed for people to get the credentials of value they need to serve in the trade they are wanting to participate in. And it is a whole range of trades from from energy and transportation to our emergency services and paramedics. So it's medical, it's our new clean economy, and it's a whole range, and broadband. So it's a huge range of the trades, and this is a major investment in supporting credentials of value for for those in these professions. And section 15, to go to the Senate Government Operations Committee, has had major concern about the sustainability of our emergency services group and in Vermont. As you know, it is an interesting challenge of a mix of volunteers and professionals who need a lot of support. And so we call out and charge the Department of Health to really reach out to the EMS community and make them aware of all the opportunities in this bill. We have money so that we hope that they can be supported in these ventures. It is not fully what was wanted by Senate Government Operations, but it is what we are able to do at this moment with the time we have. Section 16 is a very exciting and interesting and creative program that really takes our CTE training in construction, our career and technical education, and marries it with community need. This is a program that will, over time, build housing and or help build community projects. It's, our education committee expanded it a bit, but this will enable the CTE centers working in conjunction with our Vermont Housing and Conservation Board to create and administer a construction and rehabilitation program that is primarily designed to teach kids the construction trades, all aspects of them, and will help build a house. It will also help with summer employment, but it will help over a period of time to build and to renovate more buildings and houses in our communities. The board can't use more than 5% of the fund for the cost of the administration, and this is really focused completely on educating students about the construction trades through our CTE programs. And then the next sections are, I have to, sorry.
Sections.
Here.
Section 17 is a couple pages ahead there.
No, I just have to find it.
Yep. It's a reserve.
Yeah. So section 18 is the next substantive section. section, I don't know what section 17 is reserved for, but clearly for something important. So beginning with section 18 through 36, yeah, I'm not working on that, sadly. We are looking at healthcare and the huge crisis in nursing that we face. I'd just like to read some of the intent in this section because it's so important. And we deal with nurses, we deal with nurse educators, which is where some of our bottleneck is, and we deal with the healthcare professionals. The General Assembly values all healthcare workers at every level and in each component of the healthcare system. The General Assembly also acknowledges that many struggles faced by healthcare workers and that the pandemic has placed further strain on an already taxed system. And this, many healthcare workers have not had their pay adjusted over time to address increases in the cost of living. And healthcare workers have experienced, as we all know, burnout, trauma, and moral injuries due to a history of underfunding and the current stress of the pandemic. We are losing nurses at a frightening rate. We are losing our own nurses to become traveling nurses. These next sections, we're really focusing on retaining and recruiting healthcare workers in Vermont. And it's our intent to invest in multiple solutions here aimed at reinforcing our healthcare workforce, both now and as we continue into the future. And that is what each one of these sections addresses going forward. Section 20 addresses emergency grants to support nurse educators. We know that there is a huge challenge with nurse educators not being paid enough to keep them teaching. And so they earn more actually being a nurse than they do going and teaching our nurses. And so we have not one of our big challenges. We don't have enough teachers to teach nurses who would like to be in nursing. So this provides emergency interim grants to Vermont nursing schools, and it's a 2-year appropriation of $500,000 a year to do this. The next section also, again, addresses this bottleneck we face with not enough people who are helping our nurses learn how to be nurses. This addresses the people who are oddly called preceptors, but they're basically mentors, nursing mentors who work in the hospitals, training our nurses who are coming out of the nursing schools and need practical experience on the floor of whatever unit they're working on. And this is to give them and add those who agree to teach in the hospitals and become nurse preceptors, as we call them. This is a $5 an hour increase for those teachers who would like to do that work and for whom we are so grateful for doing that work. The next section is a healthcare nursing pipeline and apprenticeship program, and this appropriates funds to VTC to provide grants to healthcare employees to establish and expand partnerships with Vermont nursing schools to create nursing pipelines and apprenticeship programs. The next one is a forgivable loan program, and this appropriates money. They have quite a bit of money that they haven't yet spent in reserve, and so this small amount is just a further addition to finance a program which provides scholarships for nursing students. And the recipients agreed to work as a nurse in Vermont for a minimum of at least 1 year. For each year of service as a nurse in Vermont, and these individuals will be entitled to a full academic year of forgivable loan. So this is for every year they get a significant loan forgiveness, which is a terrific opportunity for many, we hope. Our next nursing healthcare support is with the Healthcare Professional Loan Repayment Program. And again, we've added all healthcare professionals, including EMS and paramedics in this section. and it appropriates $3 million to establish and administer a loan repayment program in coordination with AHEC, which, as you will remember, is the Vermont Area Health Education Center. And that is what this section does. It is the amount is equal to 1 year of loan for every year of service they serve in the health as a healthcare professional in this state. Again, tying an incentive to staying and working in Vermont. That is a consistent piece all the way through this bill. The next one is, again, addresses nurse faculty challenges, which we face. This is a nurse faculty forgivable loan incentive program, which administers money, which appropriates money to for the recipients who will agree to stay on and stay on and teach in our system, which we desperately need. The next one is slightly different is not loan forgiveness, which is administered by VSAC, but this is loan repayment program, and this is administered by AHEC, by the Area Health Education Center, and that is $500,000, and that is to provide loan repayment on behalf of individuals who work as nurse faculty members at a nursing school in Vermont. We need as many incentives as we can at the moment to increase the number of nursing faculty. The next section is the Vermont Mental Health Professional Forgivable Loan Incentive Program. This appropriates $1.5 million. This is again in Department of Health in collaboration with VSAC to provide forgivable loans to students enrolled in a master's program at an eligible nursing school who commit, or actually at an eligible school who commit to work as our mental health professional in the state. And for each year of service in Vermont as a mental health professional, they are eligible for this loan forgiveness incentive program. Sorry about this. That takes us to the next one, which is this is $1 million. It's got two parts to it, but it's the Agency of Human Services Designated and Special Service Agency Workforce Development Opportunity. This will be distributed to our designated agencies, all of whom have been incredible troopers during this period, and all of whom the money here will be used for loan repayment and tuition assistance to promote the recruitment and retention of our high quality mental health and substance use disorder treatment professionals available in Vermont to Vermont residences at the time that to Vermont residences. The next section is also goes to the Agency of Human Services and is for healthcare workforce to develop a data center. This is designed to establish and operate the statewide healthcare data center, and they're going to be working with the Department of Labor on this, and it's designed to establish and enhance the state's public health data system, which is and to respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency and to improve the COVID-19 mitigation and prevention efforts. So the next section should be the appropriations for the healthcare workforce coordinator, which is embedded in the Agency of Human Services. The next piece, which is section 38, is a pilot program embedded within our recovery centers. This is $1.2 million, and as you know, we have recovery centers for those who suffer from substance abuse disorder. This is critically important work to get them back to work, back to meaningful work, to help them in a variety of flexible ways, both with tuition, maybe with childcare help, with transportation help. This is designed to this is a 2-year pilot, which embeds 15 full-time professionals in limited service positions in our 12 recovery centers. And it is designed to support and counsel each one of these people who both get a job and who are seeking work, and encouraging them to be seeking work. So we have made this money flexible, both to be used in part for staff members, but also to be used for the additional help some of these individuals need. Our next section is the credential value building, really finishing the work on Think Vermont VT, which is an incredible website designed by Advanced Vermont and which is embedded in VSAC. And this is, if you haven't looked at this, is a great website. It lets you go as an individual. You look at all these possible job opportunities. You see what the training is that you need to get it. And they are going to be folding their work with the Department of Labor, and it's coordinated with the Department of Labor and should be a great asset for the department later when they finish it. And this gives them the money to finish that work. The next section, section 40, is the Vermont Serve, Learn, and Earn program, which we have set up. We put a few guardrails around it, but this is quite an innovative program too, sort of like our CTE program working in the community, building houses. This takes a population of people who are not currently as engaged as we would hope they would be. It has the Department of Forest, Parks and Rec partnering with Audubon, VYCC, Resource, and Vermont Works for Women. And it provides, their hope is to be providing up to 1,700 jobs for service weeks, thousands of servant weeks. And the objective here is to support workforce development by creating meaningful paid service and apprenticeship learning opportunities for young people who have just fallen through the cracks. And they've been very successful engaging them and in all sorts of exciting projects that are not traditional learning modes, mostly outside, but anyway, it's a quite exciting program, and we're supporting that for the next 2 years and have set some goals and objectives that we hope they'll accomplish. Again, a coordinator position in the governor's office would help do that and keep these programs going and make sure they fulfill their stated goals. And the last program that we work on in this bill and finance in this bill is one near and dear to my heart. It is the Vermont forest. Basically, it is the forest industry's workforce piece, which is really trying to build and continue to support our forest products workforce sector. The Forest Parks and Rec Department is going to enter into a 2-year contract to develop something that they're calling the strategic roadmap. And the roadmap is meant to strengthen, modernize, promote, and protect the forest product sector in the state. As you can see, it is a wide range of workforce opportunities, training, apprenticeships, internships, loan repayment, incentives to build our workforce, recruit and retain workers here in the state. This bill represents about $27 million, some of it very innovative spending, all of it designed to do all the things I have just mentioned: train, retain, recruit, and build a workforce we continue to be proud of that is ready to take on the 21st century and get people back to work, back to meaningful work. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment on S11? And the senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Madam President, I think the senator from Windsor meant to yield to me for the balance of the bill. We're on section 46 at this point, and I will be approaching it from a slightly different and shorter perspective than the rest of this bill we talked about several weeks ago, and it passed this body unanimously. But what I'm going to do here is try and not only touch upon briefly what the Senate is proposing, but what the House has done with our proposals to this point. So on the relocated workers, we have put $6 million in to enhance that program and sustain that program, and also make it clear that people could not qualify for the program until they actually got here. They would apply, get preliminary approval, then would have to move before they got here. And we also opened it up and reversed a posture where we limited the number of professions that could qualify, and we turned out the experiences turning on backs on some very interesting people who wanted to come here. The House has struck that provision. Next provision is dealing with Regional Recruitment and Relocation Network. We put $4 million in. The administration wanted $8 million for this to station people in 12 regions of the state to work with any newcomers to the state to make sure they transition to the state and stayed there. The House also struck this provision. The next section is the Capital Investment Grant Program.
Senator from Warren just recognized.
Many of the provisions have numbers on them, and
I'm sorry.
And I don't know which one the reporter is talking about. So.
Sorry, Madam President.
And this is exciting stuff, Madam President. But it's hard to follow if you don't know what it's being referred to.
I believe we start at section 46. I'm not sure.
Right now, we're on section 49.
Yep.
We're at a disadvantage because it's not in the calendar. We don't have page numbers or line numbers, but it's at section 49. I will try and remember that. This is a program that the governor wanted, and I think $80 million for. Our committee had put in about half of that amount, but because of budgetary restraints, we did not continue funding of this program. Last year, we put $10 million into it. The House has reinvigorated the program with an appropriation of $10 million. Section should be section 50. Next question is the continuation of the Recovery Loan and Grant Program, which is now being taken over by VITA. We had put actually $20 million into that program and $5 million carve out for the arts. House has put that at $19 million with $9 million for the arts. There are also some minor changes. I wouldn't say minor, but changes in the structure of the program. For instance, one example would be we limited the maximum award under that program to $200,000. The House is suggesting $500,000. Section 51 is a new section that deals with Yankee nuclear plant. There was a settlement where monies were set aside for Windham County Economic Development. The chair of the Government Operations Committee came to us saying they were having difficulty working with ACCD to free up some of that money. So we put this language in to get that money freed up. And my understanding is the House has definitely agreed with that and elaborated and gave some more specificity to that section. The next long section deals with project-based tips, which the House has removed. And I think that brings us to Vermont Film Commission. The House has removed that as well. On minimum wage, the House has remove that section as well. We were going to $15 by 2024. Yes, sorry, that would have been section 54 and 54A. Section 55 is COVID-19 related paid leave grant program, which is, we appropriated $16.5 million to help businesses and workers be able to get some compensation when they were out for short periods of time related to COVID, such as we experienced in great numbers in the Omicron surge. The House has kept in the $16.5 million. They moved it to a prospective program, I believe it's starting in either October or maybe July. We had started it we did it for a calendar year 2022. They did it going forward from, I believe it's October to October of next year. The next section is study of paid family and medical leave insurance. As I said before, if there ever was a poster child for the need, universal paid family leave law, COVID was it. And we wanted to revisit this in earnest next year. The House has struck that as well. Sorry. I have friends all around me. Section 55D, unemployment insurance benefits. This was the snafu, you may remember, where we passed a bill that provided for $100 million over approximately 15 years for workers, and the feds came in and said we had a conformance problem, and our effort here was to restart that program when the computer was able to do so. The House went along with that starting 3 years from now, but they rejected our plea for interim funds through ARPA. So we have that for conference as well. 55A is an annual report on the mainframe. I think the House kept that in. And the Appropriations Committee are some of the things I've already talked about in terms of the number. Then sports betting, we did a study in this bill, and the House struck that section well. You can see there's a lot for conference in this bill. Next is the SALT deduction cap workaround. Section number is 58. And I talked about this last time I was up, and Senator Brock and I had an amendment to do this. This is a streamed down version because we learned new information in the last couple of weeks. There was some question as to whether there may or may not be a loss of tax revenue, and since that time, the tax commissioner has worked with JFO, and it's very unlikely that there would be any state revenue. The estimate for small businesses would be $10 to $20 million tax. It's important to note that this was a change in the tax law in the Trump tax plan from 2017 that the state of Vermont strongly opposed. It felt it was political towards blue states, and it hurt our business entities. It turns out in 2020, the IRS said there is a workaround to this so that we can reinstate unlimited tax and local deduction on the federal side for partnerships, S corporations, and LLCs, and states are rushing to pass these. I think every state in New England, New Hampshire doesn't have an income tax, and maybe one, have already passed this. Our neighboring states have already passed this. As the commissioner said to us initially, he said this is as close to free money as you can get. Since that time, he has said to me, this is more than free money, because now he realizes that the state revenues will likely benefit as well. I think the next section which is section 59, is downtown tax credits. This is appearing in several vehicles, I think, in the building. I think there's no opposition at all. And we will see our downtown tax credits expand for the next 2 years. A $3 million cap to a $4,350,000 cap with the expansion of the breadth of where they can be used to neighborhood development areas as well. Next, the last section, other than the effective dates, is robocalls, and I would yield to the Senator from Franklin to give us a reminder of what that bill was about.
Senator from Franklin is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Robocalls, as you may remember, this particular section was all of this bill S11 when it was originally introduced. It was sponsored by the senior senator from Bennington and myself. Robocalls, as you know, essentially are black flies of telecommunications. They are pervasive and they affect, result in millions of unwanted calls to providers. This particular bill is based on some action that was taken by the state of Indiana. By enacting this, it doesn't mean that we're suggesting that there be a robocall police force. What we are suggesting, though, is that we be positioned to assess penalties against people who call us robocallers and who ultimately get captured, typically either overseas or in the U.S. by other authorities, and enables us to latch on to those situations and extract penalties from those callers. Indiana, for example, my understanding is enacted a bill like this, and they were able to collect some $12 million over a 5-year period from robocallers, and that's the purpose of this section. Thank you, Madam President.
The senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I neglected a few things. We heard from so many witnesses. If people want that list, I'd be happy to provide it. The committee vote was 5-0, and I would especially like to thank our legislative counsel, David Hall, for all his work on this bill. It was a joint effort. There were several other people in legislative counsel. He was the ringleader, but Damian Leonard and Emily Tchaikovsky and Rebecca Wasserman. We had almost the full office in our committee at one time or another. I want to thank them.
Senator from Washington is recognized.
Madam President, may I interrogate the proposer of the amendment?
You may call the question first. I believe that the question now is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with further proposal of amendment as proposed by the senator from Chittenden? And the senator from Washington is now recognized.
May I interrogate the proposer of the amendment?
You may.
Madam President, I just want to double check something I heard. I had a local school contact me and say they are trying to incent teachers, and they were trying to cover some of their moving costs, and was there anything the state could do? I thought of the remote worker, now the moving worker, whatever we're calling it, Bill. I was told that that bill was only available to the 5 most needy professions, teachers not being one of them. And I thought I heard the proposer of the amendment say that the House had struck that section, so perhaps local teachers might be able to take advantage of it. I just want to make sure that was correct.
Thank you for the question. I have been in communication with the senator about this. Unfortunately, last year, the House insisted upon narrowing the pool of people who could be eligible. So they limited to the top 50 professions that were most in demand, and school educators is not in that group. We are attempting to correct that. We would consider an injustice or a misstep in this bill. The House, in their response to our attempt to correct that, have continued to pull the entire program at this point.
Thank you.
The senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I realized that it was very difficult for the Economic Development Committee to allocate this money with everyone nipping at their heels. It is true that we have workforce shortages across the state. And I am having something passed out. I'm going to speak for a system that is largely forgotten and underrepresented, our emergency management system. They don't have a paid lobbyist. Their directors come to and speak to us directly, and they work incredibly hard. During the pandemic, they provided vaccine and testing centers. They staffed understaffed hospitals. Hospitals used our emergency management system people to staff their own hospitals. They are professionals, both paid and volunteer. They get little support through the state money. It is true they get reimbursed for their calls, but only if they transport, they get reimbursed. Short of a small amount of money from a fee on our insurance companies, they really don't get much help from the state. I do understand the difficulty and time constraints we are working with, and that there was some reluctance to specify money to particular professions. But we can see from the following that we have done so in many instances. We have $712,500 for teacher recruitment, $420,000 for training incarcerated individuals, $3.5 million for the Vermont Trades Scholarship Program. That is true, but EMS people are going to be competing here with building, mechanical, industrial, medical, transportation, broadband, and robotics. That's all the people that are eligible for that $3.5 million. Section 15 does ask DOH to ensure that emergency personnel are aware that they can apply for this money, but that does not mean they're going to get it. They're still going to be competing with all these other people. We spent $1 million to complement nurse faculty. We spent $1.4 million to give to hospitals for those hospitals who did not pay their preceptors. So we're giving $1.4 million to hospitals to pay their nurse preceptors. Spend $2 million on nursing programs. $1.5 million for forgiveness for mental health professionals. $1.25 for the DAs. The $6 million for worker relocation program. I've passed out their very specific request they made to us. My guess is that this is more detailed than most of the requests that are in this bill. This will help. If we were to give this $950,000, it would help recruit and train 590 people directly, 590. And it would provide continuing education for another 2,300 people. That's a lot of people. And we are in a huge nursing crisis and a huge teaching crisis. We know that. I would posit that if we don't have our emergency medical providers, we will have less people being taken to the hospital because we won't have them. And they are a system that is in dire emergency, and they are on the point of collapse. And if we do not give them money, and I understand that there is money in here that they can compete for with all the other people, but I don't think that's good enough. And I am not exactly sure how to address it, but I think we need to give this $950,000 to the emergency medical system. I'm not sure how to address this because this is, we can't do an amendment on here now. I would hope that this can be addressed in the conference committee. I don't know that it can because it is, in our version of the bill, it says it just puts them in with other people to compete and there is no money set aside for them. So I'm not sure. I've heard that we can do it, but I would beg the conferees to address this system and to give them the money they need. Thank you.
The senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. This was hard. There were an incredible amount of competing demands, and we knew our limitations. That's why we asked for some help from the Health and Welfare Committee in this review. The one thing I would point out is I do think this is still an issue that could go to conference. We did today put in language that We did two things on the trade thing, and we added language of the EMS in another area as well. But we added $500,000 to that pot with this program in mind, especially the $450,000 of it. And then we put a language in that said, when you give out this money, they should prioritize those professions or those trades that are most in need. So the EMS people should be able to make their case in that context to get prioritization treatment if, assuming the need is great, as and I don't doubt it is, that you make it out to be. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment as proposed by the Senator from Chittenden? The Senator from Caledonia is recognized, and I'll recognize the Senator from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam President. I realize that we're just looking at this at the first time this afternoon, and I think that there are several areas where, in fact, there may be funding in this bill that is also included in the budget. A couple of examples would be the VR workers development recovery centers. We have under development an SUD package of funding, and I think that there may be those positions there. The other, the $500,000 for refugees, that was referenced earlier on when we did the funding for humanitarian aid to Ukraine that we had already received a request. So and the other point is we will be voting this yes or no. And I don't know what the final tally is, but certainly we know that our chair has an understanding of what we have for allocated revenues for workforce and for economic development. And so if this these appropriations should be a bit more than that, then that would also, it's my understanding that that will be the subject of negotiation as well. So I just wanted to say that we're going to have to do a little work, not only in the Committee of Conference, but also to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts or funding between the two bills. Thank you.
The Senator from Bennington is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, I wanted to thank the chair of the committee as well as the members of the committee. We know that there is a massive teacher shortage across the United States. It is hitting rural areas more than urban areas. We already have a shortage of or roughly 1,000 openings for the fall, and that number is only growing. This is a good investment to help work to address this issue. We don't want to solve this problem by doubling class sizes and putting more pressure on our teachers at this point. So I just, again, wanted to thank the chair of the committee and the committee for their work. Thank you, Madam President.
The Senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I will just simply speak to the proposal before us. I don't have any questions of the presenter. In the beginning of the session, as most committees do, we sat down and established priorities for the session, and we got to workforce. My comment to the committee was, well, we'll do that later on because we have a great deal to do, and we want to fold it into any budget that is going forward. And then the bill that came over from the House included a significant amount of workforce investment. And it is, I wanted to say thank you to the Senate Economic Development Committee for the work that they've done, but allowed for our policy committee to provide input into how the healthcare dollars are being expended, or at least suggested for appropriation in this bill. So this is a thank you to the Senate Economic Development Committee, but it's also a thank you and a recognition to the Senate Health and Welfare Committee that worked for long hours on fine-tuning the investments that are suggested in the bill, and also to some of the fine details of wording for all of this. We are in the midst of healthcare crisis in terms of our workforce crisis, nurses. It is laboratories. Laboratories have shut down recently because they don't have sufficient workforce. We've added that into the bill. We've added other things into the suggestions as well, and tried to be somewhat creative in trying to identify those workshop or workforce activities that some of our Agency of Human Services do. So when they they learn about a new type of counseling procedure or other, as is recognized in Section 18 of the bill, then we've linked that into Section 34 of the bill, where we now have a workforce coordinator to look at making linkages with colleges to understand, will those activities that folks are doing as they're employed in AHS link in with some college credit through their experiential learning. So, Madam President, overall, I think that your Committee on Senate Health and Welfare is very pleased with what is before you. It covers a broad spectrum of students and professionals as well in those areas that we see significant need of nursing, primary care, laboratory, mental health counseling, and others. So just a thank you to the Committee on Economic Development for allowing for us to weigh in on the bill and provide information.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment as proposed by the Senator from Chittenden? Are you ready for the question?
Madam President.
The Senator from Bennington is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. The Senate Judiciary Committee did hear from the Attorney General's office regarding the robocall bill. And I think I should add information before we go ahead and add this to the bill, that there are tremendous concerns about recent court decisions and on our efforts to stop what I know we all agree on is horrible thing of robocalls, particularly in the middle of the night. But I'm not sure that this is the time to try to do that. I did have a conversation with the Attorney General's office yesterday about their concern about it. So I'm not sure we want to continue with that amendment.
The Senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to request a short recess.
The Senate will stand in recess until the fall of the gavel. Senate will please come to order. Returning from a brief recess, and the Senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the comment from the Senator from Bennington. I was unaware of the potential legal challenges from the Attorney General on this. We put it back to the vote in the Senate, which I think was unanimous when it passed. I am committed, certainly in conference, to get to the bottom of this. I am a lawyer, and if there's legal suspicion here, I'd probably be the first to pull it, and I respect the Attorney General and seek out that opinion. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment as proposed by the Senator from Chittenden? The Senator from Orange is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I am overwhelmed by this document. The first statistic that jumped out was presented to us about, which I thought was alarming, was about our workforce participation falling from 66% to about 60. And most of the bill appears to be working towards restoring the workforce and putting people back to work. There are vocabulary words that I shouldn't be surprised, Madam President, to see forgivable loans and sort of like non-loan loans I don't know enough and haven't spent the time on the Committee of Jurisdiction to put all those things together, and I respect those senators that have worked on those issues. I guess my questions go to the more unusual item called the SALT deduction cap workaround, which deal with pass-through entity business income tax collections. And being on the tax committee, I understand enough about the vocabulary to get myself in trouble, Madam President. So if I could interrogate the reporter of.
You may.
Would the reporter tell me when this bill talks about income, dividends, royalties, interest, rents, guaranteed payments, gains of a pass-through entity, are those all sources of income that an individual Vermonter might have that was not a sub-S or a partnership or a LLC?
Yes, and there also are income for the individual when they use the pass-through.
So if a person who had an S, an LLC or a partnership earned the same as someone else on the other side of the room, the same number of dollars, put in the same number of hours, expended the same number of invested money, and had the same, was otherwise the same, would they be eligible for the workaround that we are proposing to make legal?
The answer is no, because the IRS does not allow that.
So this bill was the federal law, which is being worked around, is about, what, 3 or 4 years old now, Madam President?
Correct. Madam President, correct.
In the recent months, there's been a way to work around that law for some Vermonters, but not for other Vermonters. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Madam President, we've had, since COVID, the expression that we have used over and over again is that we're all in this together. And the laws apply to us all, and we work together to solve something. I would thank the supporter of the bill. I used to work at the airport in New York for a couple of years when I was in college, summertime. And they used to talk about money falling off the back of a truck. And this seems to fit the colloquial New York expression of money falling off the back of the truck. And there seems to be no connection between the amount of work that was put into it, the amount of investment that was put into it, the amount of overtime people put into it for one group to get it and the other group not to get it. And that someone has figured out a way to get around the law. In Vermont, we don't usually do stuff like that. I was thinking of being in middle school and reading about Abraham Lincoln that shortchanged a woman 6 cents or something at a purchase at the store that Abraham Lincoln operated, and then walked 18 miles or 1.8 miles or whatever it was to return the error. And here we are in 2022 as a legislature, eager to allow some to pick up what has fallen off the back of the truck and not others. And it seems unseemly to me. And I think for the many folks who work regular jobs for minimum wage or are employed by the hour, who don't have the opportunities to their income is their income, Madam President. They can't come and ask the legislature to bless their income and have it reported as expenses and then turn around and deduct it and get tax breaks. They can't do any of that stuff. But there is a group among us who can. This workaround rewards those people, I guess, for having been on the sidewalk when the money fell off the back of the truck. And being in politics, I've said that what's the state's share of the possible 10 to $20 million that fell off the back of the truck? And I accept the reporter's estimate that there might be $2,000 worth of additional, $2 million additional taxes collected by the state of Vermont. And seems to be a small number, and I'm surprised that Porter and others in the administration haven't figured out a way to share some of what fell off the back of the truck, which is not, Madam President, a very principled stand. But this is a political building. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment as proposed by the senator from Chittenden? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. No. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We concurred with the House proposal of amendment with a further proposal of amendment as proposed from Chittenden. We have some options. The senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask that the rules be suspended and that we message our actions on the House forthwith.
The senator from Windham has moved that the rules be suspended and S11, an act relating to prohibiting robocalls, be messaged to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you suspended the rules and message S11 to the House forthwith. The senator from Windham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'm going to ask that the Senate stand in recess until 4 by way of explanation. I will be back here at 4 for a token session. Otherwise, we will be done for the day.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the Senate stand in recess until 4 p.m. today, Wednesday, May 4th. And we will do that subject to any announcements. The senator from Bennington is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Education will meet 15 minutes after the fall of the gavel.
Senator from Caledonia is recognized.
Madam President, institutions will meet at the fall of the gavel.
Senator from Washington is recognized.
Madam President, I don't think most of my committee has had a chance to eat lunch, so I have just rescheduled for 2:45 for Senate Finance. Please grab something to eat and then come to committee.
The senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Government Operations will meet at 2:30, and I apologize if people haven't had their lunch. I believe the cafeteria is probably closed. So they're closed at 3 today. They are closed at 3 today. So we will meet at 2:45 to give people time. Thank you.
The senator from Addison is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Natural Resources and Energy will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
And the senator from Windsor is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Today is a really special day. Today we celebrate the birthday of our splendid pro tem, of whom we are so proud. And today there are a bunch of things that happen on this day that I think she'd be amused by. In 1927, the Academy of Motion Pictures was incorporated. Big movie fan. However, she's also a peace and justice person. And in 1961, today, the first Freedom Riders bus left for the South. So that's a pretty great day. In 1796, Horace Mann was born, one of our great educators, just like she is, and a politician. And Audrey Hepburn was born on this day in 1929. And Ella Fitzgerald won her first Grammy in 1959. And Ernest Hemingway in 1953, as a woman who appreciates all forms of writing, even Ernest Hemingway's, we won the Pulitzer Prize for literature for Old Man and the Sea on this day. And in 1979, Margaret Thatcher was elected as the United Kingdom's first female prime minister. And as we celebrate Senator Ballin's birthday, I would like us all, after we adjourn, to join her in the cloakroom for a piece of fabulous Corzone's cake. Happy birthday, Senator.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the Senate stand in recess until 4 p.m. today, Wednesday, May 4th. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Senate stands in recess.